There we go. In the Oibu worldview, which type of education is considered to be superior? Your own educated, what we learn. Okay? So in healthcare, I take your heart rate and I see that it's X number of beats per minute, and it's not in the normal box. Educated intelligence says we have to put that in the normal box. What does your baby's body temperature have to be? What should it be? 98.6 Fahrenheit. So if the baby's temperature is at 102, what should we then do? Give something outside in to get it in that box of 98.6. All right, because educated said where it should be. What is the body innately saying about the temperature? It's dealing with something. There's a need for it to be at 102. So the body innately creates 102, but educated says we got to put it at 98.6. That's more outside in. I'm going to dictate to my body what the temperature should be. How about blood pressure? 120 over 80 is the normal. First off, in our allopathic, we used that word already, right? In our allopathic healthcare culture, what is normal? What is it actually? If we took everybody's weight in here, put you all on a scale, and added up all the weights and divided by the number of people in class, what would we get? An average weight, which we would then call normal. We take everybody's blood pressure, add it up, divide by the number of people in class, we would find the average blood pressure for this class. And if it wasn't 120 over 80, we would say it's abnormal. Well, what should your blood pressure be right now? Should it be 120 over 80? Should your heart rate be at 72 beats per minute? Should your temperature be 98.6? Do we allow for fluctuations? Like if you're fighting something, you're fighting an infection, should be higher than 102. Or excuse me, higher than 98.6. When you're washing your car and you got it all laddered up with soap, right? And you want to wash and rinse it off, but you don't have a nozzle on the end of your hose. You just have the water dripping out of the end of the hose. How long will it take you to get that soap off of the car? Take you all day. So what do? Put your thumb over the end of the hose. What does that do to the water pressure? It increases the water pressure, gets it to shoot out of there harder, and you can rinse the car off better. Do you think there might be a reason why your body is creating higher blood pressure? Because it has to get the blood to someplace else? And it's not working? We got to increase the pressure? Yeah. So maybe instead of just lower the blood pressure, maybe look for why is it high in the first place? Okay, so educated intelligence is very important for our health. But in the Oibu worldview, we look at it as being superior to everything else. What about the Adio worldview? What kind of intelligence is considered superior there? Innate intelligence. Okay? You'll find that definition in your lexicon. Don't forget to be looking at that, at the words that we use. Innate intelligence. Something inborn. Inborn smartness. Inborn wisdom. What is that innate intelligence doing for you? No. Some people might think of it like that, but it's not. That would be instinct. Instinct and innate are not the same thing. Somebody look up in the lexicon. Read what we have there. Principle of organization in living matter. It's what chiropractors say organizes your living body. Does the cadaver in the lab have an innate intelligence? How come? It's not living, no innate intelligence. Does it still have matter? Yes, and that's deteriorating, that's decaying. Because the universal forces around us break it down. There's something in living matter that fights that entropy, that strives to keep us organized. That's what we call innate intelligence. It's not a religious term, it's not a theological term, it's a chiropractic philosophy term. Okay, so the job of innate intelligence is considered to be superior here. So then what would the role of educated intelligence be in the ADIO worldview? You're all educated people. You want to take care of educated people. What's the role of educated intelligence in ADIO? Okay, to learn, to remember, to reason. So how are we going to reason relative to this innate? What are you going to use your educated thinking for? To get out of the way and let innate do its best job. How can I assist innate, not how can I overrule it? Go back to what we said the other day. If you're tired, sleep. Don't force yourself to stay awake. If you're hungry, eat. If you're full, stop eating. What does the baby do when it's tired? Goes to sleep. Doesn't try to stay awake. It just conks out wherever it is. Because the baby doesn't have the educated intelligence yet to know how or why it should fight innate intelligence. It just sleeps. Same with an animal. The bear hibernates in the wintertime. There's not going to be any food, I might as well go to sleep. What does the baby do when it has to go to the bathroom? It goes. It doesn't care what pants it's wearing that day. It doesn't care if it has a diaper on or not. It just goes. Doesn't have the educated control yet. What do you do when you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of class? Wait. Or get up and leave, hopefully. Don't go right in your seat. Right? You choose educatedly to keep the toxin in your body. Your body's saying, well, we got to go. We got to get this out. We got to empty this bladder. There's toxic in here. And you say, no, keep it in there. Because wait till class is over. Or I don't want to embarrass myself or, ruin the environment for my classmates. Impose on their environment, their sanitary environment. And we appreciate that. But that's where educated gets in the way of innate. The baby is in tune with innate. Your dog is in tune with innate intelligence. When your dog gets up from laying down for a long time, what does it do? The minute it gets up on all fours. You ever see them stretch out like that? They're arching their back. What are those muscles doing? Staying toned and potentially pulling any misaligned vertebra back into place. What do you do when you get up? Oh gosh, I got to get to school. Jump in the shower, grab a cup of coffee, sit in the car to come sit at school. Who's more in tune with innate? Your dog. Where are you on the scale? How have you been? I don't need to know the answer to this unless I put it on a test. Right? But you need to know the answer to this because it's your life that you're living. If I put a question like that on the test, obviously I can't mark it wrong because it's where you are. It's what you're thinking. But I can evaluate you on whether your thinking is correct. For instance, I could say, are you an oibu or an adio person? And explain why. And people will put down, I'm more oibu, and this is why, and then they explain adio. Well, that I can mark wrong. Because you told me one thing, but described something else. Okay, so be consistent. Where are you on that scale, number one? Number two, are you happy being there? Are we saying anything that's getting you to think, gee whiz, maybe I'd like to be different? That's good too. Maybe you're adio and you'd like to be more in the middle. Maybe you're oibu and you'd like to be more in the middle. If you're an adio thinker, when might you need to go oibu? And when I say that, what does that mean? To use oibu thinking in your health. What does that mean? OI?
Like when you're sick, you gotta go to school and take a test, so take medicine knowing that you need to.
Okay.
You'll have to take that test.
I got a final exam tomorrow. My whole quarter hangs on this test. I feel awful. I might have to take something from outside in to deal with my symptoms so I can go take the test. That's your call. And if you make a call like that and one of your chiropractic friends says, ooh, bad person, right? Smack them on the side of the head or just ignore them. Doesn't matter. You have to make the call that's best for you. So if you're an adio thinker, does that mean you never go to the medical doctor? Maybe at an extreme. I know a lot of chiropractors that don't. My best friend's wife was dying from cancer. He's a chiropractor. They're a chiropractic family. She was in the hospital. She was getting all the treatments to try and beat the cancer. There were actually chiropractors who called him up and told him you shouldn't be doing that. You should let the body deal with it on its own. It's not their call. It's this family's call, right? We want to always stand in judgment of other people. We're just putting this up here to challenge you to investigate how you think, because the next level after that is how will you educate the people that are coming to you looking for help? Do you want to educate them that there are options? Or do you just want to stay in the outside in, below up thinking that is common in our culture? I wanted to challenge people's thinking. Does that mean all the people in my practice get it? No. Some get it right away. Some get it over a course of years of care. And some I've been taking care of for 30 years, still haven't gotten it. But I know why I'm there, and my job is to keep teaching them that. All right, so that's the journey you're on. That's what you're going to try and figure out. I got a slide up here. Right? Can you read that? Yeah. It's by Henry Ford. It says, thinking is the hardest work there is to do, which is why so few people do it. Right? We got to think. I had a pain here on my chest going across the Atlantic Ocean to go teach in Italy chiropractic philosophy. And I felt awful leading up to the trip. But being a really smart, intelligent, educated man, I didn't tell my wife. Right? She was coming with me because it was Italy. Right? It was her birthday week, so it was a good. It actually worked out well. So I didn't say anything. I'm just praying, oh, I hope it doesn't get bad. I don't want the trip to go bad. I don't want to get a chest cold, and that affects my breathing and everything. And I didn't know why the pain was over here. Walked through the airport in Atlanta to catch a connection, and it was worse. It was really bad. And when I sit down in the airplane, then it got real bad. So after we took off, my wife was busy there knitting, and I said, I don't feel so good. You know, and all I'm thinking in my head is, you know, what if they got to turn the plane around and drop me off? And it felt like I was having a heart attack. But when I would push in here, it didn't hurt. As soon as I would let go, it hurt a lot. But it was really bad. So my wife, trained as an RN, just reached over, grabbed my pulse, and said, your pulse is good and strong and steady, so your heart's probably okay. She went back to knitting. And I was in pain. So we got off the plane, we checked into the hotel. Next day, you know, we took her out to dinner, blah, blah, blah. We're walking all through Florence. And I'm grinning. I'm faking it like I'm having a good time with her, but I'm still hurting. You know, I said, I got to go back. We can't even, you know, let's take a taxi. We were going to walk around, walk back to the hotel. I said, they called a taxi. We went back to the room. At the conference, I had my chiropractor friend that was there checking me every 2 hours, you know, checking me, make sure everything's working right. So when we got back, she says, you know, you suffered with that the whole week, so you should go get that looked at. So I said, yeah, you're right. So I go look. I go to the MD down the street from my office, and he's listening to everything I just told you, the symptoms, when they're the worst, when they get better. And he runs an EKG, and he says, you have when was your last checkup? And I says, I don't typically do checkups. He goes, well, when was the last time you were here? I said, I don't know, 10, 11 years ago, when I had this same kind of feeling. He says, I don't have any record of that. Well, maybe it was because it was 10, 11 years ago. I don't know. Maybe you throw your records out every 10 years. So he runs his EKG, and he comes back in the room, and he says, I want you to get over to the emergency room over at the regional hospital because I think you had a heart attack on the plane, judging from my EKG. So I said, I don't think I had a heart attack. I said, the last time that I felt this way, 10, 11 years ago, you thought it was a hiatal hernia. He goes, I don't have any record of that. I think you had a heart attack. I want you to go get that looked at right away. I want you to go to the emergency room now. So I said, okay. Took the pads off, right? Put my shirt back on. Called my wife. She goes, how did your visit go? I said, where are you? She goes, I'm getting my nails done. I said, oh, good. How did your visit go? I said, well, he thinks I had a heart attack on the plane. He wants me to go to the emergency room. She says, oh, okay. You know, I'll see you later. So I went over to the emergency room, right? And I'm pulling into the parking lot at the emergency room, and her car was already there. But she wasn't going to get alarmed on the phone from me. The mistake she made was calling all my daughters. That should never have happened, right? So I'm in there. They come. You go in there with heart attack symptoms, right? Because the medical doctor called up. They put you right to the top of the list. So they checked me out, and they put the pads on me. Then they put me in another room, and they take blood, because if you had a heart attack, I guess you get certain enzymes in your blood. So he's looking at all that. He comes back in. Because you didn't have a heart attack. I said, I didn't think I had a heart attack. He goes, your enzymes are all clear. They're very good. Your EKG is very strong. You have a good, strong heart. I said, great. That's what I thought. What do you think the problem is? He goes, I think you have a hiatal hernia. I said, that's what I think. But the other guy was saying heart attack. So now I got, one of each. We need somebody for a tiebreaker or something, So he says, well, I think you should go see an internist to see about this hiatal hernia. Hiatal hernia is when a piece of the stomach gets pinched where the esophagus goes through the diaphragm. And it can give you all the symptoms of a heart attack or heart problems. Okay? So I eventually went and saw the internist, and I was charged with being non-compliant because I didn't take the drugs that he thought I should take. I said, look, I just want you to tell me if I have this. I'm not here to get a prescription. So they had to schedule a thing where they looked down in there and said, there's no hiatal hernia. Peanut allergy. I went to an allergist who said, you're allergic to all these things. That could set this off. I know I'm allergic to these things. If I eat them, I would die. Over here, tree nuts and peanuts, I'm not allergic to. But I think that's the problem. Just because, thinking back, I had funny feelings after I would eat nuts. So he goes, but you're not allergic to that. I said, that's fine. He goes, I want you to use this inhaler. I don't want to use it. You're being non-compliant. Okay? Give me the prescription. I never filled it. Give me the prescription. Right? I stopped eating the nuts. All the symptoms went away. So now I don't have peanuts. I don't have pistachios. I don't have any nuts. And all of the symptoms went away. Heart attack. Hiatal hernia. I could sit down and watch the ball game during the night with a spoon and a big, big jar of peanut butter. I love peanut butter. I cut that out. Totally good. Right? So it's good to have diagnostic tools at our our disposal. If you need to use them, I'm all for getting the medical opinion. That's why I was there. I wanted to see what he thought was going on. But I still have to run it through my filter. Because I know my body, right? So I still have to see, with my education, what's my body trying to tell me? And you'll come up against this stuff. You'll come up against it with your kids. You'll come up against it with yourself. So, is anybody parked and happy where you are? Or are you on that highway someplace? I never heard the phrase innate intelligence until I was a student at Sherman. But in my gut, I knew my body could take care of itself. What example do you have of your body taking care of itself? You get a little cut, and it scabs over, and then the scab is gone, and you got skin, and you can't even tell the cut was there. Right? Anybody ever have that happen? Yeah. So if it can heal the cut, do you think it's trying to heal the big stuff? Yeah. Do you give it enough time to heal the big stuff? Or do you try and jump in there with something outside in? If you break a bone, what does your body innately do? If you break the bone, and they're no longer like this, now they're like that, what will your body do? Fuse it together. It's what it does. It knows there's a problem. Why should you go to the orthopedic? Because he can align it, and then what does he do? He casts it because what does he know? He knows your body's going to heal it. We're not the only ones who think addio. There are many medical people that think addio, many nurses that think addio. But unfortunately for them,
what world do they work in? They work in an Oibu world. They work in an Oibu profession, but a lot of them think above, down, inside out. You have the blessing of thinking above, down, inside out and actually being able to be consistent with that, with what you do. But chiropractors could also be outside in. Chiropractors can also try to treat your body thinking their educated intelligence knows better than your body. And we'll talk about different examples of that. Well, you can't see that slide either. What's your next slide in your notes? Okay. Some questions there. Did you ever think at your young age that you have a philosophy of life? In that same exact term. This is my philosophy of life. I never did. Right? Some of you may have. I'm thinking most of you didn't think this is my philosophy of life. But what did you have? You do have experiences. You probably do have a philosophy. You just never called it that. It's just the way I live my life. Well, we're trying to get you to think of the idea as, yeah, that's your philosophy. You have a philosophy for how you chose to live. Here's chiropractic. Do they come together? Do you want one to fit into the other, or are you just going to keep them totally separate? That's your choice. What's the next one? Oh, you only have one philosophy of life question? Okay. Did you ever think your undergraduate school would contribute to your philosophy of life? Okay. Or your chiropractic school? I never did. I did not think ever of the word philosophy until I got to Sherman College. But like I said, when somebody explained the nervous system to me and how it coordinates life, and that's what the chiropractor works with, that resonated with something I was thinking. And the reason why is because those two philosophies, chiropractic and mine, were similar. But I had to discover that. You take biology in undergrad? How many have bio degrees? Okay, put your hands down. If you don't have a bio degree, do you have another science degree? In what? Exercise science, health science. Okay. Biomedical. That's going to be a little different because the biomedical model is pretty Oibu. Right? What about exercise science? Now that we've explained Adio and Oibu, could you categorize what you learned in that degree program? Could you do a critical analysis of that? Not to be criticizing or judging, but how would you rate those educations? Those degrees? Outside in or inside out? I didn't take exercise science, so I don't know the answer. Pretty inside out? Okay. More Adio than Oibu? Okay. Good. That's good to know. What about in biology, the whole evolution thing? Outside in or inside out? Above down or below up? The premise for evolution is that things got started accidentally. There was a big bang and there's accidental mutations. Does accidental mutations sound like a principle of organization? To have a principle of organization would mean something is making life happen and it wasn't accidental. Right? This iPad that you have, how did that come together to be a functioning iPad? accidentally or through intelligence. Okay? Edison gave us the light bulb through trial and error, but they were intelligent thinking processes until he found the one that worked. It wasn't just throw a bunch of stuff together on the bench and see if the light bulb pops up. There was some intelligence behind it. So you might find yourself checking chiropractic adeo thoughts against what you were told in biology. How do you fit those together? And that's okay. It's always good to be thinking. Okay. Tough question. You go to the health center, everybody has an intern. You should have been matched up by now. They check your spine. They determine that you're subluxated at some vertebrae. Let's say C2, or T2 or L2, some vertebra. They set up to make their adjustment. They put a force into your spine. Where did the force come from? Outside your body. Where was the force directed? Into your body. Is that outside in? But I told you chiropractic was inside out. Tell me about that.
Well, if you're adjusting with the intent to release an ache in the body for it to be able to do what it needs to do in the body, or are you making that adjustment to deal with low back pain or with a specific symptom?
Okay.
All on intentionality of what the doctor's doing at that time.
Okay? You hearing that? It's what your intention is. What does that mean to you? If we threw intentionality into that, what does that mean to you, maybe in a different word? Yeah? It's going to point in the direction of your philosophy. Can your classmate, watching you adjust, know whether you're thinking adeo or oibu? Just by watching you adjust? You don't know what the intentionality is, right? You could be trying to move the vertebra to cure the headache, which would be very outside in. It would be using your educated intelligence to control the patient's body. I'm going to put this vertebra back in place so your headaches go away. I am going to fix you. That's educated above innate, below up.
Can it be both?
How?
So we are educated to be able to properly align the spine, but whether we align it or not doesn't always mean that the spine is still going to respond and fix the body.
Okay, let's not say spine, let's say the innate intelligence. Good. Right. So you put the force in, and the innate intelligence could not use that force to fix the body. Okay? What was your purpose for putting the force in? Putting the adjustment in? Why did you do that?
To allow the innate, to give the innate intelligence every opportunity to fix itself.
Okay. That's above, down, inside out. You weren't trying to fix my headache or my back pain. You just wanted to help the body remove interference. Whether or not that happens could be one of two things. Either A, you were in the wrong place, you gave a bad adjustment. That's two things. Or three, the body was too weak and couldn't fix it. Limitations of matter. And we'll talk about that stuff. Right? If you give me an adjustment that my body can't use, that wasn't an adjustment, that was trauma. You just traumatized my body. which is why we want you to be specific in your science and your art. We don't want you pushing on spines when the body doesn't need it or where the body doesn't need it. That would be just like a medical doctor prescribing a drug that's not needed. That would be just like a surgeon doing a surgery that's not needed. You do not want to push into a spine if it's not needed. So that's what you have to learn in your technique. So because your intention can only be one of two ways, you can't do both. But if your intention is to help the body by removing interference, and that doesn't happen, then there's probably something else going on. What about Sudafed? When do people take Sudafed? When they have a cold. Why are they taking it? Make the symptoms go away, relieve the symptoms. How would you evaluate that? Oibu. Suppose I have a cold and I load up on vitamin C. It's water soluble, so I can't become toxic. I just take a bunch of vitamin C. I am taking it to fix my cold. Where would you put that? Why'd you take it? Fix the cold, same as the Sudafed. Therefore, that would still be Oibu. Go back to why you took it. How would your inclination, your tendency might be, well, Sudafed is pharmaceutical, vitamin C is natural. So vitamin C must be adio. How would taking vitamin C be adio? What would the thinking have to be? Okay, so when do we take vitamin C? Okay. Okay, I might be taking my vitamin C because I feel bad, and I know it's a nutrient that my body needs for a healthy immune system, so I'm going to give my body some fuel that it can use. Or I could take vitamin C on a regular basis so my immune system stays strong and stays healthy. I could do it with garlic or any other natural thing that helps a cold. So it looks the same, doesn't it? I'm taking the vitamin C. I'm eating more oranges. I'm drinking orange juice. The difference is how you're thinking about it. It looks the same. It's the thinking behind it that will tell us whether or not it's adio or oibu. If somebody comes into my office because they hurt and they know the adjustment is going to make them feel better, and that's why they're coming to me, so their back pain goes away, how are they thinking? Oibu. But if I adjust them because there's interference, and I want the body's innate intelligence to be able to organize the body, that's why I adjusted. How am I thinking? Adio. So that's what I'm trying to teach them so that hopefully they will come over to an adio way of thinking. Even though they felt better, they were there for a reason different than I was there. I still have to explain my reason. You could see a chiropractor adjust because he wants to fix your headache. And it could look exactly like the chiropractor who's adjusting so that your innate intelligence can organize better. It looks the same. You can't go by what you see. You got to ask the guy, why are you doing that? And when you ask the question why, you are doing philosophy. Asks the question why. Who are the best philosophers in the world? 2-year-olds. Mommy
Mommy, why are we doing this? Mommy, why do I have to eat my vegetables? Why do I have to wear that jacket? Right? They're asking all the why questions. It's because they're forming that side of their brain. They're learning how to think. Okay? See you guys tomorrow. Maybe. Hopefully we'll get the computer working.